Hello everyone, this is General Haggernade. Welcome to my war room in Prince George, British Columbia. Today's video is going to be on declarations of war for the game 1936 to 1945. We're talking about global war here. And the reason I'm doing this video, I was working on the 1914 game, but I've kind of taken a pause in that for a few days, and so I took the pieces off the board and I put this map back on because there's been a bit of talk lately, some talk about the declarations of war between Germany and Russia and how best to, or when best to do that. And also a bit of controversy, not much, but a little bit in the forums on axisandallies.org about declarations of war and how that works. And specifically when it comes to navies. So anyway, I thought I'd just make a little video. I kind of explained it online, but I wanted to make a video because I always find that it's very helpful for people if they're able to see videos, and it's much easier for them to visualize what it is I'm trying to explain. Because when I explain, I might read right out of the rule book, and I am gonna, because there's a very short passage that needs to be read for this. But for the most part, I like to just show you and talk in plain language, because then it's easier to grasp, what you're doing when you're talking in plain English instead of in terminology. So anyway, let's get started. What I've done here is I've set up some British pieces, some American pieces, some Japanese pieces, some German pieces, and some of the player aids on the board, and we'll just get to those as we do. But declarations of war. So the most difficult thing to do in this game is the declaration of war, and that doesn't mean it's hard to do. It's actually probably the easiest thing in the game to do. All you have to do is speak up, or you can make an attack on somebody. But it is very, very short. Here, let me show you the rulebook here. Let's just move this thing over here. Let's take a look at the rulebook. See this right here? This is the entire section on declaration of war, and plus it gives you a little example. So let me just read it there. Each nation has different conditions under which it can declare war, i.e. initiate war, which are listed on each national reference sheet. So let's just take a look at the British national reference sheet. So here it is here, and you see declarations of war right in the middle there, right in the middle of the screen. So it tells you what the conditions are. If I want to initiate war against a minor nation, yes, but it's 10 IPP penalty applies. And then it gives you the thing in the rulebook 5.6 where you can find more clarification on that. So Germany, Italy, and Japan, and that's mostly who British would be declaring war on. So yes, once Britain reaches wartime income, and only if that nation has declared war on another nation during the game. And then there's also the Russians, and that's a little more complicated. So yes, under the following circumstances, Britain is at wartime income and Germany or Japan has surrendered. Or USSR currently possesses an original Allied land zone. Or USSR has declared war on a minor neutral power not adjacent to Soviet home country. Or USSR declares war on an allied nation. So those are the conditions that Britain can declare war on. And that's what it says here. It says in some cases, nations only need to reach its full-time wartime income level. In other cases, there are certain stipulations. Once you're able to declare war, you may do so at any time, even during another player's turn. And that's basically it. It comes down to one sentence. Like most of the paragraph here just tells you where to locate it, and you have to check and see if you're allowed to do it. But the key sentence here is just the last sentence. I'll read it again. Once you are able to declare war, you may do so at any time, even during another player's turn. So you could do so, like the British player could do it right now if they wanted. They could start moving their pieces and do it. They could do it on the production phase. They could do it on the place units phase. They could do it on the Russian player's turn, on the Japanese player's turn. They could declare war anytime they want. If you and I are playing a game and say it's over a weekend and it's Saturday, I could text you at 3:30 in the morning telling you that I'm declaring war on you. Now, I probably wouldn't do that. That wouldn't be very nice. But I could. That would constitute a declaration of war. There's literally no restrictions other than what's listed in your declarations of war. If it says that you can declare war on somebody, there is no other restrictions as to whether or not, when, how, why, nothing. You can just declare war on anybody that you're allowed to declare war on. And that's it. That's the whole story. So it sounds pretty easy, doesn't it? Not even close. So let's just take a look at a scenario here, because somebody did write in with a very specific scenario, and they were asking, about the British, and so all these ships here on this task force marker are right here. They're represented by this marker right here. He was wondering what the procedure was and had questions around, what they had to do in order to be able to attack a land zone in the Soviet home country. So I'm going to show you something here. We're going to go up and we're going to attack Tokyo there with what we got. But as you can see here, there's a lot of units here. So normally what you would have to do, like if Great Britain and Japan were at war right now, then I would have to make a screening force to fight this huge navy right here, this huge chunk of navy right here. And then with whatever's left, if I manage to take that navy out, then I could move on. But if you look really closely here, I don't have enough pieces to do all that. First of all, I'd have to get through that. Then I couldn't do it anyway, attack Tokyo, because you can't do two screening forces, right? Like I would have to do a screening force on these boats up here that are in C zone 56. And so that just wouldn't be possible. But lucky for me, I am not at war with Japan. So my movement is unrestricted. I can move anywhere I want with my boats. Infantry, land troops and aircraft, a little different story. Like you can't just move into a land zone. But if you look at sharing sea zones and sharing land zones near the beginning of the rule book, you'll find that if you're not at war with somebody, you can share sea zones with them. When you become at war with them, then there's a procedure. You can leave or you can stay and fight, when your turn comes around. It's up to you. Whoever's turn comes up first has to decide to flee or fight, right? But when you're not at war, there's no restrictions. You can sit in the same sea zone. You can travel through somebody's navy. You can do whatever you want. Now, I can declare war whenever I want. Like it said there, one simple paragraph, declare war whenever you want, basically. So, I take my turn, right? And bear in mind, you and I have the same information. I know how much money you have. You know how much money I have. Like, we've got all the information we need. We know everybody's money. That's why I insist that we put them on these coasters when we play. And it's helpful that if you're using chips, because then I can just look across the table and know, from back here, I can see how much money Germany has. And I didn't set up the Japanese one, but I'd be able to see the Japanese, how much Russia has, how much everybody has. I have all that information. I have all the information I need from everybody's reference sheet. I have the rule book, right? I have, this is the 1914 game, but I have the IPP chart, so I know how much money, what your income level is. I have the technology chart, so I know what technology you have, what technology I have, what technology everybody has. You have the same information I have, so you have to be a big boy or a big girl, and you have to decide whether you want to declare war on me. I have to decide whether I want to declare war on you, and it's a very big decision because there are some serious consequences to it, especially over here in the Pacific theater, because one of the biggest things that happens in the game is that America joins the war. And of course that's historical, right? When America joined the war, then everything changed, right? So that is a big deal in this game. And the consequences of what Japan does, especially, Germany and Italy too, but mostly what Japan does, those things have huge consequences. Like if Japan declares war on the Commonwealth, then the Americans get 5d12. They can roll 5 dice and add up all those numbers, and those numbers the Americans want to add up to 63, right? They start at 6 and they want to get to 63, so that's going to take them a long ways. It can be 5, like you could roll 5 ones, it's unlikely, or you could roll up to what, 60, so somewhere between 5 and 60 you could roll. So that's a big if you're Japan. That's a big gamble by declaring war on the British, unless the Americans are almost there. Like if the Americans are at 58 IPP right now, then it's not such a gamble. Like they only need 1 die, right? They don't need 5 die. So it's no big deal for the Japanese to declare war on them. But you take a look at what's going on here. Like I said, you have the same information I do. Let's say you're the Japanese player, I'm the British player. Now, knowing all the rules and knowing everything that's going on here, knowing that we're not at war, you can look here and see, okay, geez, Japan's not very well defended, or sorry, Tokyo isn't. They've got 1 dude, they've got an anti-aircraft gun, they've got a tactical bomber. Now, there's an airbase over here with 2 fighters. They could scramble into Tokyo, so that's good. Or they could scramble into this sea zone, that's good as well. The tactical bomber can't scramble in this game, but that can. Now, you've got boats here, but that doesn't matter because I can go through those boats. We're not at war, right? I can't go this way because that's 3 spaces, and I'm at a minor naval base, so my transports will only go 2 spaces. So I couldn't take on Japan anyway. So going a different route, the only route I can go is right through these boats. So Japan knows that they've taken a look and they go, holy crap, I should have put more stuff on Tokyo. He can go in there and he can take Tokyo. Like he could take my money off me. I can take it back, but I've lost my money for a turn. And that's devastating, right? Even if, like, say, America is only at 35 IPP, Japan, that might be worth it for them just to go in there and do that, just to create havoc like that. That's going to severely weaken the Japanese Navy, for one thing, because I'm going to take these boats out, and then he's going to come after my boats, and then so he's got a lot less boats. America's got 5 die. Like, there's a lot of consequences to consider, right? It depends on where you are in your income, where America is in their income, where the British are, what Germany's doing. So anyway, my turn comes along. We're not at war. I make my purchases. I do everything that I can do in the production phase, or everything that I want to do, right? And then I can start moving, right? I don't have to tell you what I'm doing. Like, I don't need to explain to you, okay, I'm going to go through here and then get to here, and then I'm going to declare war on you, and then I'm going to go over here and do this, and I'm going to go over here and do that. I don't have to do any of that. That's not my obligation. You have just as much information as I have. You know how far I am away from you. Do you want to declare war on me? Because you better do it now. If you don't do it now, well, guess what? It's too late. I've gone here. That's where my guys have gone. Now, my next move. I didn't tell you that was a combat move. I haven't declared war on you yet. I've got another situation over here. I'd like to take these guys out, right? But there's this thing I have to go through. But we're not at war, so I can just move these over, right? Okay. Let's just move all of these over here. I'm just gonna move around that destroyer. Now, I've got some other attacks I want to do, but I didn't do them yet. But it doesn't matter to me whether or not I've declared war on you for those other attacks. It does matter here, though, because I want to use these planes over here, but I can't fly over a neutral nation. Now, Japan isn't exactly a neutral nation, but they're neutral to me. If I'm not at war with them, that makes them neutral. So I'm going to need to declare war on Japan before I fly these planes over here, right? So I say to you at this point, I've moved my boats, and that's really the only benefit you're going to get by not declaring war at the beginning of your movement, right? Is that you get to move your boats wherever you want. So at this point now, if you haven't declared war on me, then I'm going to declare war on you. Or I could just start making combat moves. It's up to me. So then I'm going to say, okay, I'm at war with Japan. Now these guys are going to fly over a neutral, or not. They're not neutral anymore. I'm at war with them, so I'm going to fly over them, and I'm going to attack these guys. Now these guys up here, I'm going to have to split off, aren't I? So I'm going to have to come up with a screening force. Let's move this out of here. So these guys are going to go into Tokyo if this happens. I've got 2 transports. Let's see. Let's take the 2 battleships, and so that's going to give me landing shots. I like to do the best shots I can get. So let's do a battle cruiser and a heavy cruiser. So there we go. And then the planes. Now he can scramble in there. He doesn't have to do it now, right? He's got that option now. He doesn't have to worry about it. So I have to decide, is he going to scramble into here with his 2 planes, or is he going to scramble into here, right? Now I think I have enough boats here, so let's just move this over. Say all these guys that I didn't do, they're going to be the screening force, okay? But let's do this. So the planes went 1, 2, 3 into Tokyo, and then they can land 4 back on my boat here, right? Let's do that. Let's do that. Actually, let's do 3 planes in there, and the rest. I know he doesn't have coastal artillery, so I'm not too worried about what kind of boats that I'm going to take shots with. He's not going to be able to shoot me. So there I go. That's one attack there. That's that attack over there. Then I'm going to finish my combat moves, right? These guys, they're going to go over here and they're going to attack this guy. And I've got this guy over here. He's going to go down there on combat air patrol. And he's going to try a shot at that sub. And I might have lots of other attacks. I don't know, right? I could have attacks all over the board. Africa, the Anzac might have some, the FEC, right? But anyway, point is, I finish all my attacks. Now it's time to start rolling. And there's just no going back after this, right? Like I'm at war now with Japan. And so the screening force happens. And if that's successful, and I have no reason to think that it's not going to be, well, actually, before that happens, you get the opportunity to scramble. So you can scramble those 2 planes into either Tokyo or into the C zone, and you're probably better off sending them to Tokyo, right? So you send the 2 fighters into Tokyo. Now combat begins, and that's how it's done. That's a declaration of war. You had the choice to stop me. You could have stopped me right here. You could have said, I'm declaring war. But this isn't, like I was saying to somebody online there, this is not something I would normally do with the British, right? Like it'd be extraordinary, for one thing, for the British to have that big of a navy over here. You know, like chances are your navy mostly is going to be in Europe, right? So this is unusual that this could happen. I'm just saying this is what could happen. And so, you know, like you have that choice, you have all that information. You can decide before I go through there that you want to declare war on me. Now, you could do that. I could move my stuff up here. Like I could move this thing over here, and until I start my attacks, I can still change. Like we do it all the time. You do it, I do it. Everybody you've ever played with does it. You move a guy into here, and you know, like you move some other people. You know what? I don't want to move that guy there. I want to move him over here, right? So Japan declares war on me. Then I say, okay, no problem. I think what I'll do is, now that we're at war, I'll just take all these guys and go down here and attack this or something, right? Like I can do that if I want, because I haven't started my attacks yet. I can change my mind. Now, if I'm being a gentlemanly player, and I usually am, then I'll say, you know what, it's okay. If you want to just not declare war on me because I changed my mind, I will allow you to do that. So I can do that if I want, and that's probably what I would do in reality. But if I went up there to attack Tokyo, and that's actually what I wanted to do, then I'm not going to allow you to do that, right? No, you never said anything. You can't just decide, okay, you've had 10 minutes to think about it. Now you're declaring war on me after I've made all my moves? I don't think so, dude. Nice try. But anyway, what I wanted to say, though, was that I might do that just to get you to declare war on me, right? Depending on what's going on everywhere, depending on where the Americans are at, depending on, like, if I need the Americans really, really badly, even if this is a bad attack, even if I've only got 1 Marine or 2 Marines to take in there, I don't know, I'm going to do it just to get you to declare war on me if I can. I mean, you might not take the bait, right? But there are a lot of reasons why to declare war or not to declare war on somebody. It is very complicated, even though it's only 1 sentence in the entire book. It can be very complicated. Let me show you a different one. Here, I'll just stop and reset something up and show you something else, okay? Okay, so Britain attacking Japan before America gets into the war is pretty unlikely. I've never seen it happen, and I'll be surprised if I ever do, but it could happen. You never know. The point is that it's possible, right? And there might be other reasons to do it, like I said. However, one thing that is pretty likely in this game is Japan attacking the American Navy. And in this situation, the Americans, let's say they're at, 60 IPP. So they can't declare war on Japan, right? So this is much more likely to happen. Now, all of these ships are down here in the bottom here. You can see I've only got a minor naval base, and I'm 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces away from going around that guy. There's no way I can do that, right? Because my ships, like, I don't have any transports. I don't have any regular battleships in there. I do have the Yamato, and I have a fast battleship in there, though. They can go 3 spaces, right? So 1, 2, 3. I can go through Hawaii, right? Now, I just go through there. There's nothing stopping me at all. America can't declare war on me. I go through there. I do my other combat moves, whatever I'm doing, right? In fact, when I do that, I might make my combat moves against against the Commonwealth now, because I don't have to worry about America's 5D12 anymore, do I? They automatically go to wartime income in this situation. So I've gone past these guys. I could even call this my surprise strike if I'm able to do that still, if I didn't use my surprise strike anywhere else. And so I can waste the American Navy here. It looks impressive, but a couple of these are transports, right? And so it's not nearly as impressive as the Japanese Navy is. And these guys are not a factor, right? And so like, I'll take out these guys pretty easily. So now that I've gone through Pearl Harbor or through Hawaii, then I just say, okay, now I'm declaring war on America. I don't have to declare war at the beginning of my turn. I don't have to declare war as I'm sailing past, fingering everybody in Honolulu. I can wait till I get there, make all of my moves that I want to make, and then I can declare war on America and Great Britain and, whoever I want, right? Anzac. Well, I guess if I declare war on the Commonwealth, that takes care of all of them. The British could declare war on me, like what I was showing you there, if that's going to hinder the Japanese movement, and it looks like they're going to attack the Americans anyway. It seems pretty obvious. In fact, just the fact that the Americans are at 60 IPP and the Japanese have moved into here, that tells me that the Japanese are going to attack the Americans. So if I can hinder their movement by the British declaring war on the Japanese, then yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that, because I have all that information. I know the rules, and I've seen your reference sheet, my reference sheet, the Americans' reference sheet. I know how it works, right? And so do you. And so that would be a declaration of war. This would be a declaration of war over here in against America. and there's nothing the Americans can do about it, right? They're pretty much at everybody else's mercy. And one person thought that, well, that's not right. You should have to tell people what you're doing. Well, did the Americans, or sorry, did the Japanese tell the Americans that they were coming? No, they didn't. The Japanese didn't say when they were leaving Japan, hey, we're coming over, we're going to attack Hawaii. They just sailed over there. They sent their planes. They came from the north side of Hawaii, the Hawaiian Islands here. They flew in there, and they probably should have made another wave. I mean, there's lots you could say about it historically, but what we try to do in this game is make the game as close to historical as we can. And by doing it this way, the declaration of war this way, it gives a lot of flexibility, and it makes you think a lot. Like I said, one sentence in the whole book tells you what you can do, but it's the most difficult thing to do. It is definitely the most difficult thing to do. Huge consequences. Now this one here, this is something that you would expect, right? But when you're talking about over here though, the conflict between Germany and Russia, I mean, there are some serious consequences over here, because if the Germans declare war on the Russians, then the Germans get to attack the Russians, and they're +1, the Russians are -1, and then on the Russian turn, they can only attack one place back, right? And so, big consequences, right? Now, the Russians are going to go to their full income level. They don't have a wartime income like the Allies do, but they have a full income level. So by Germany doing that, that's going to take them to their full income level. So the Russians can avoid that by the Russians declaring war on the Germans, right? However, that they're not going to go to their full income level. They're still going to go with their sleeping bear rolls until they get up that far. So at 20 IPP, the Russians do not want to do that, right? But at, say, I don't know, 35, 40 IPP, absolutely. Why not declare war on them? You're only 1 or 2 rolls away anyway, only like a tank or so in dollars away from doing that. So might as well do that. Like, for one thing, you're going to recover some of that money in your wartime bonuses, right? Like, you're going to have, I think, 5 in wartime bonuses. So, you know, like if you can declare war as the Russians, you should, right? But there's a bit more to be involved in that, right? There's a lot to be involved in, and mostly what is involved is the relationship between the players, right? Like, there's the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Was that signed? Do the Russians and the Germans want to have a treaty there along that border there? You know, like if you watch, there was a recent game on YouTube, the Winter Solstice. That was a game where the Germans and the Russians ganged up on the Allies, basically. There's a lot to be said about that game, especially the declarations of war in that game. The declarations of war completely determined who won that game. And you might think, well, wait a minute, the Germans declared war on the Russians and the Russians won the game. Yeah, but the Russians won the game a lot earlier than that. They won the game when Germany declared war on France. Not exactly at that moment. Like, the Germans went in and they declared war on France, and so they were doing their attack moves, and the French player, who were the Allied player, said, no, I'm going to declare war on Iraq over here. So that cost the French player 10 IPP. He thought, ha, Germany's not going to get my 10 IPP. You know, I've just cheated the system. And he only thought he cheated the system. What he did do was hand the game to the Russians. And I told the Russian player that. I talked to him for over an hour on the phone, telling him, yeah, you know what, you should declare war on Germany right now. Because his rolls, you got a D12 roll for each one of these. He'd already had one sleeping bear roll. He was already in the 30s. I said, you could declare war right now. He says, well, I don't want to do that, you know. Me and the German player are going to call a truce for a little while. It wasn't going to last as long as it did. It ended up doing, but they did it. And I said, well, that doesn't matter. You can still talk to them, say, let's not attack each other. But I need to declare war right now just so I can take these territories back, right? Or take these territories down here. But he didn't. Anyway, big consequences because this was an exploit, and it was the player who did this in the YouTube game that came up with that exploit and posted it online a couple of years ago, and he's done a couple of other things like that. And so in response to that, we had to redo the Monroe Doctrine. We had to make up a rule because of France doing that. It's a shame that we have to do that, but we did. So anyway, we made up that rule, and basically what it was the Allies are going to lose. They're going to come in last place if they do that, because it's not a very gentlemanly thing to do. It's not very sportsmanlike. It's basically trying to cheat the rule book is what you're doing. It's not within the spirit of the game. And some people could argue that. They say, oh no, it wasn't, it was all of the rules, blah, 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 whatever. You know, if that's your opinion, that's your opinion. Okay, whatever. But we created a rule that said, we didn't create a rule saying it, but we created a rule that will make you come in third place if that happened to you. And we talked about that behind the scenes. Me and some other guys, you know, that know the game really well. And you know, as soon as that video came out where the Germans had done that, and the French had declared war on Iran here, we called it. We said, okay, well, Russia's going to win. The Axis are going to come in second place, and the Allies are going to come in third. That game was over months ago. I stopped watching it because I already knew the outcome. That game was done, and that's because of a declaration of war. And you would think it's just a minor one, right? Like, it's only France. France has nothing to do with this game, basically, right? Like, hardly anything to do with this game. They're a minor power. Like, China has more to do with this game than Russia does, and China's a minor power, right? But they declared war on a neutral over here that happened to have two territories that were bordering Russia. The game was over, and like it should have been a much bigger score for the Russian player, but the Russian player in this game, Hilltop Pillbox, was the least experienced player in the game. And even though I told him, you can do this, you can do, you know, like you've got it. It's your game to lose. Just, you know, whatever, you know, just do this and you'll win. And he wanted to take his own path, and that's good. Like I like watching people do things that I wouldn't do, because I learn things when I watch people do that. He could have won the game a lot easier than he did, but he wanted to make the game a lot more interesting by doing other things. And he made a couple of mistakes. They all did. They all made mistakes, as we all do. I make mistakes every time I play the game. But this mistake right here, this declaration of war like that, was a killer. Like, every single time, if you declare war on Iran, you are going to come in third place. We designed the game that way. Believe me, you can't win the game like that. And he knew that. He wanted to try to prove us wrong, and he, you know, whatever. He didn't. Anyway, so that's what happened, and that was a declaration of war. But this is probably the most contentious declaration of war, is the one between Russia and Germany. The other ones, you kind of know when they're going to happen, like Germany declaring war on France. Well, that's 99 times out of 100 that's going to happen. That, you know, you mean to invite all those consequences. You know you're going to start World War II when you do that. You don't care, because you're the big bad boy in Europe, and you're ready to do that, right? And so you know, like, that's not a big deal. You know you're going to do that. But it's when you start talking about minor powers like the Netherlands, extremely complicated, the political aspect in that. Not just do you do it or not, but how you do it. You know, because the Netherlands is over here, but most of their stuff is down here. So that requires some coordination between the German player and the Japanese player, right? Like, a lot of coordination, and it has to be done right in order to be really successful at it, to maximize the benefits of doing that, you know. But all of the declarations of war, one of the diciest propositions is the declaration, if it happens, between the Russians and the Allies, right? Because they don't have to go to war for one of those two to win the game. It seems almost inevitable that the Russians will go to war with Germany if they want to win the game. I don't think they could win the game. Most of their points are located along this border here, so they're going to have to go to war in order to take some of those territories. And it's the same with the Germans. The Germans' points are over here along this border as well, so they both have to go. They're fighting over the same points, right? Whereas the Russians and the Allies are not fighting over the same points for the most part. So a declaration of war between those two is really, that's very strategic. It's usually something that's going to happen near the end of the game. That's not necessarily right at the end of the game, but it would be really unusual for that to happen in the first half of the game. But anyway, I hope that this has clarified some things for you. Just remember, everybody around the table has their own information. They've got all the information. They know how much money everybody has. Hopefully they know all the rules. You can't just say, okay, some guy, hey, let me see your reference sheet. I want to check something out. No, get your own. You can't do that. Everybody is allowed to have all the information. So you're allowed to take a look at anybody's reference sheet. The only thing that you don't know is what's in that guy's head. What is he thinking about? What is he planning? That's the only thing you don't know. And that's why the declaration of war is so difficult. You don't know if he's going to declare war. You don't know that he's not going to declare war. And there are consequences. Consequences to him doing it. Consequences to you doing it to him. It just goes on and on and on. And it's probably what the game is going to hinge on. It is most likely when and how people declare war on each other, in what order, and what state they're in at the time. That is going to be probably 75% of who wins this game, except in if there's an extreme case, like when France declared war on Iran. That game was over when that happened. But for the most part, it's only going to be, it could be 50%, it could be 60%, it could be 75%, but it is going to be a big percentage of this game when people declare war on each other, and in what state they're all in when that happens. Like, it's not just you and the player you're declaring war on. It's not just Germany declaring war on Russia. What is that Italy doing? What is the British doing? How much money do the Americans have? There's a lot involved, a lot of information to pour over, a lot to absorb. So anyway, good luck to you. I wish I could tell you I've got it all figured out, but every game I learned something new, and especially when it comes to these declarations of war. Like I said, easy to master. It's one sentence. Ha! Different story when to master it. Big difference. So anyway, that's all I got for you here today. Heading out to the lake this weekend, so I hope you all have a good weekend, and take care, everyone. General Hand Grenade out.